All right, everybody, hello and welcome. You are here for How to Land a Job in 2026. My name is Albert. I'm the founder of Albert's List. It's good to have many of you here. We are a job search, side hustle, and AI skills company helping you become the most resilient professional you can possibly be. And joining me today is Garrett Rice of Callings.ai, a platform that you'll have the opportunity to learn about here in a little bit as you embark on your job search journey. Let me go ahead and turn that off in the background here so you're not hearing any of that. Oh my goodness. Um, okay. All right, cool. So, a little bit about me. I'm a San Francisco Bay Area born and raised job search entrepreneur. You can connect with me on LinkedIn here at the QR code. And I'm also the founder of Albert's List, as we mentioned, where we focus on the various topics of AI, job search, and side hustles. And we also have a Facebook community that you can join with 50,700 members within it. There you can meet different recruiters, hiring managers, seek out job opportunities, and network with other people. All right. Our agenda today, I want to talk a little bit about what happened in 2025. Then I want to talk a little bit about the trends for 2026, and then the various ways that you can take action, including learning more about Callings.ai. There's a lot to go through today, and so we'll take that journey on. And so as we look through the past year, it's important to do so because I always believe that in order to understand where you're going, it's always important to also understand where you've been in the past. And 2025 by no means was a great year at all if you were a job seeker. We saw the largest number of layoffs in October of 2025 that we had seen in a long, long time. We had more unemployed people than job openings for the first time since April of 2021. That happened in July. And we continue to see a lot of downward pressure from various different areas, including AI, tariffs, and also our ongoing presidential administration, at least here in the United States, and their focus on reducing the size of the federal government. All of these in totality created a really tough situation where it really can just say that it's been a terrible year. Unless, of course, you were working in the AI field as an AI engineer, perhaps somebody who was working at one of the big AI companies, such as OpenAI or perhaps Google or Meta, that was continuing to pump lots and lots of money into the AI world. Um, on other things that we saw in that last year was, as we were saying, AI mania, but also a continuing spate of higher unemployment and also inflation remaining sticky, bringing up the fear of stagflation. AI still, of course, remains an interesting area, although a broader information recession continues. Although the other aspect that we're also to see is that something is starting to give in this job market as we see a potential collapse. And we're going to see how that goes through here as we see the first month of the year here and see where we go into as we get in the second half. If your job search has been a struggle, it's definitely not you though. But I would think that thinking through the following trends that we're going to share today is really going to help.
Hey,
And so
Albert,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but your video is blocking some of your slides, just so you know.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and stop this share and just share the whole entire screen with content only. All right. How does that look? That should probably look better. Okay. All right. So for those of you who are looking at the couple of slides up here with regards to tech layoffs, yes, these layoffs and unemployment figures are just in the United States. And so, but the tech layoffs look at the overall job market as a whole. And so just looking at this, in terms of where things have been in the United States, unemployment is up, and then also I would say that that in the tech industry overall, a lot of we're seeing a lot of layoffs and potentially even more layoffs. Although the news has said recently too that we're seeing a lot less firings as companies, I think, maybe have laid off enough, hopefully so, and are just looking to retain their existing employees. Although more is said to more to be seen, especially as we get into the second and third week of the year. All right, so going into that, the 2026 trends and what they mean. And so Just looking into this, right, in terms of how to land a job in 2026, I think of these trends as really high level things to think about as you approach your job search and think strategically overall as we approach the year ahead. And so, understanding what's ahead is generally what I see as the top number of things to think about as we go through the job search. So, what does it look like, right? It's still the toughest job market since 2008, and it's becoming it is difficult, right? I don't know how much more difficult it can become, especially with the specter of ghost jobs, AI, people posting fake jobs, and so forth, and companies just trying to get through this interesting time with various policies abound. That, as a result, means that competition is fiercer than ever across all functions, no matter where you are. I think that a lot of companies are seeing that AI is interesting and attractive, and that that more can be done with fewer people, and so that always creates an interesting situation. AI also leads everything, and with the bubble growing and potentially bursting, will continue to suck oxygen out of the room. Right? You're seeing every day that AI can develop software, that it can vibe code for you, that it can write better than others, that it can do all the automated tasks that we've been doing manually for a long, long time. And so that's fascinating. We're also seeing that lower interest rates, which traditionally create more employment opportunities, may not necessarily mean more jobs this time around, although it might also mean that it's interesting in terms of being able to own assets and so forth along the way. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in terms of our trends as well. And so, what that ultimately means when it comes to understanding what's ahead is looking for opportunities in unlikely places, right? You may be interested in working in industries that you've never been in before. You may need to use your network in ways that you never thought before as well. And of course, at the very end of the day, AI skills will mean absolutely everything. And so, what does that mean with our overall trends? This is where it goes next, right? So, trend number one is a world of AI haves and have nots. And so, what we've seen over the past year is astronomical spending in AI, where we see companies spending way more than they have, laying off employees to get there, and really emphasizing that AI is really what's here, and it's going to be here to stay because you've had all these companies that are making money in the AI world, and they've spent 10, 15 times more than their revenue. And so they've got to find a way to make that revenue back. And so they're going to make AI happen as much as they possibly can. It's played a part in our layoffs this year and in layoffs last year, and will absolutely be a part of 2026. And regardless of whether this bubble actually bursts someday or not, now is the time to learn. And so it's important for anyone here that is interested in having a job that AI is here and here to stay, and so you must get in, or you're going to be left behind. And if you're a consultant, if you are not a consultant, if you're a W-2 employee, a contractor, it's going to affect that in that world too. We've seen a lot of situations over the past year where consulting firms can now have reduced numbers of employees because they see that AI has taken over. And so if you haven't started using AI yet, um, I would get on it. And Albert's List and Callings.ai are both in the AI field. And so we encourage you to join us for events and webinars that cover this area. Jerry says, I just received an AI generalist certification. Is that term used in a job search? It's agentic AI no code. Um, I would say it's not so much about the certifications, and it's also not so much about about the education that you have, but the practical applications that you've been able to gain through using AI, whether it's developing software or developing systems that help you become more efficient in the work that you do. Anonymous attendee writes, I was in a seminar this week that emphasized that Grammarly has published an AI detector and a network of ATS-based resume scanning services are blacklisting people found to be using AI on their resumes. This seems far-fetched, but I'm wondering if others have heard of this. So the AI battle does actually go both ways in this sense now, where you are seeing AI being used by job seekers such as us every single day, and also AI being used by companies trying to figure out whether people are using AI or not. And I would say that AI is always your first draft. Your second and final draft is always up to you and you polishing it to sound like you in your voice. So yes, absolutely use it. And I mean, it's difficult to really know whether it can detect AI or not. Sometimes some of us are just really good writers. And so, um, ultimately at the end of the day, it's all about relationships and the people that you know. And so that leads us into the second trend, which is systems and execution takes precedence. I think when it comes to where you are in your job search world and where you are in your if you're employed and looking for a new job, I think one thing that's really become evident over the last year is that it's not so much about the it's not so much about your ability to understand your resources out there, but how to use those resources out there to your advantage, right? So whether you're using Callings.ai or whether you're using ChatGPT, it's great to have a subscription to both, but how you are leveraging both in your workflow is becoming incredibly important because that separates the efficient from the inefficient. And so when you're connecting your job search, you must systematize your job search no matter what. And systematizing your job search means understanding what is needed within the job search and knowing that simply applying to places and signing up for networking events is one thing, but being able to be successful in that job search means another thing. And so, right, turning your leverage, your special sauce into what matters is what really counts. And for Albert's List and what we think about here, whether it's through our boot camps or through our Facebook group, we talk about the hiring hierarchy. The hiring hierarchy is our framework to really describe what is important to hiring managers and companies and employers as they go through the job search process, right? And so, in order for any of you to truly be successful in your job search this year, um, having the hunger, the attitude, a sense of hustle, resilience, especially, and a commitment to the job search is more important than ever. And I can't emphasize that enough because having done this I would say significantly now for the past 4 years and even more so for the past 8 to 10 years. The one thing that I've noticed about job seekers that sets a job seeker apart is the ability to just take off any rose colored glasses you may have about the world and just know that in order to get that next job, you have to do what you need to do, right? That means waking up in the morning and knowing that you got to get to work on LinkedIn, that you got to be at the right networking events, that you're strategically networking with other people, and you're turning this into a system, and you have a calendar that is filled with meetings and appointments all the time. And then it's understanding at the next level that it's getting all your fundamentals correct, whether it's having a solid resume or cover letter, having a brand that helps people recognize you, networking and networking effectively. And then really just knowing that job searching is repeatable, a repeatable system that you do every single day that helps you become successful in the way that you want to be. Um, Jerry asks, "Is Albert's List Facebook only?" It is. Well, it's not. So we do a lot of our content through these webinars as well, and so I would encourage you if you want to come to our other events and engage with our audience. These webinars are very effective for introducing you to that audience and also providing networking opportunities. And that's the other thing that I want to offer to all of you is that if you are here today in this webinar and you're in this webinar chat, share your LinkedIn profile. Let us know where you're dialing in from, because not only is it an opportunity to learn content, it's also an opportunity to network and meet people who are in a similar situation such as you. Yes, the slide deck will be included as a follow-up as well as the presentation video. So yeah. All right. Trend number 3 along the way is to be a strategic searcher. So one of the things that I realized in this AI world that I've been thinking about over the last couple of years is we've had a situation where jobs have really evolved. One thing that I've noticed along the way is that with AI now being able to do all the powerful things that it does, including image creation through ChatGPT, where you can literally tell it to create a webinar thumbnail on YouTube and it can create it, or it can write, or it can create spreadsheets and so forth, that what you do for work and how you identify how you do that type of work is going to be significantly transformed. And so the thing that I think about here is that as you think about your job search and as you think about who you are professionally, it is important to think about who you are as a strategic professional versus the commoditized skills that we have traditionally known all of ourselves to be. So, for example, if you are a UX UI designer, one thing that AI can do really great now, especially for is design imagery, is design websites, wireframes, and so forth. And so, if AI can do that, companies need fewer of these types of professionals, and what they need more of is operators. And so, what that means is, as a career professional, becoming an owner and learning visionary thinking is an important piece of it. And so, if you're a designer, it it's important to start thinking like a creative director. If you're a marketing assistant, it's time to start thinking strategically along the entire funnel of the marketing funnel that you support today. So if you're just a content writer who writes blog posts, you have to think about how those blog posts fit in the entire picture when it comes to attracting and interesting customers to learn more about you. All right, so all of those things have become increasingly important and critical as you think about who you are in being a strategic searcher and being somebody who positions yourself as the person to be hired, especially since there's fewer roles here, right? So I see a lot of IT managers and Scrum Masters. I see a lot of project managers. I see product managers here. And so how do you elevate yourself to that owner where maybe you think of yourself as your own business and how you serve businesses one on one, right? And so those are all unique ways to look at where we're going as a market. Trend number four is an obvious one, right? It's targeting the hot industries and the locations. I think with the job market being as tight as it is, one thing that is important is flexibility. So, uh, as we know, with how people think in all countries, is that they move and they vote with their feet. It's also important to vote and move with your career. So the types of roles that you select, the types of industries that you look at, and the physical locations are all really important in terms of where you're going next. And it's also important to know where your skills transfer, whether you're using AI to get there or riding the wave of what's hot and avoiding what's cold. And so, one example that I always like to use is healthcare. Healthcare has been a growing industry for a number of years. It's growing especially in the cities. And with baby boomers being the largest generation, a lot of them are beginning to retire. Baby boomers were born 1946 to 1962. And so if you add 65 to the very end of that, they are turning 65 through the year 2027. And so if you think about that and you add another 20 years onto that, because baby boomers love to think about how invincible they are, that takes you to the year 2047 until, probably when populations start to drop with, millennials and Gen Xers not too far behind. And so when you think about that, that's an interesting trend line to think about where things go in the future. And so I've thought about this and where things are going in the future and what to run towards and what to run away from, right? And so one of them is healthcare in the cities. Rural healthcare, on the other hand, is probably going to get decimated with some of the policies that we're seeing. Run away from leisure and hospitality, particularly as people stop spending money and a lot of that money flow ends up going to the top, to the most wealthiest, as other people aren't able to afford to go out, have fun, and so forth. You also want to run towards certain types of technology, such as AI, analytics, cybersecurity, cryptocurrency, all things that are of interest of this current United States presidential administration. And if you're not in the United States, potentially of interest for your leadership in your country. You want to run away from most other things right now because they're not as interesting, right? So if you're in the IT management space where AI can take over a lot of day-to-day operations, that's something to think about. If you're in certain types of data storage, it may not necessarily be interesting as well, especially if it's not considering AI and so forth. Other things to run towards: data centers, certain clean energy, especially as AI becomes big and companies are looking to create that clean energy push so that they're not polluting as much. Local government, especially as federal government shrinks, particularly in the United States. Financial services, as companies look for ways to better manage their money and look for ways for consulting to go towards ways to increase their income. Run away from nonprofits, especially as government funding shrinks, right? And especially as people have less money to donate. Advanced manufacturing is another one, with automation, robotics, and so forth. And then running away from traditional manufacturing with your uh, with your production lines and so forth. And so these are all things to think about, especially in the context of AI. Pay attention to the news, pay attention to what companies are sharing at conferences, and going for that, right? And so the other graphic here is we have the fastest growing jobs. And then the other piece is really where the locations of all these jobs are going. Again, right, if you're here in the United States, which is an attractive area for many people to come to for work, the Southeast is becoming more interesting, especially with its with taxes, also with just the weather, and then the attraction for businesses to go to those areas. The Southeast, the South, and so forth. And then depending on where you are, perhaps the Sun Belt, less so California. Of course, your mileage may vary depending on the area that you are working in. So that's trend number 4. Trend number 5 is the entrepreneurial mindset taking a greater center stage. I mentioned earlier, right, that ownership is what matters a lot when it comes to your job search. And so career ownership matters across more avenues more than ever because not only do you need to think about your career, you need to have that vision. So I don't know how many of you go into interviews, but one of the most important things to think about as an interview is to act as if you have that job already. You can't go in that interview from the standpoint of being more curious about what the job entails, as much as knowing how the job fits within the entire needs of that organization. So, for example, if you're a product marketer, like I am in my day job, it's not just important to think about what I need to do as a product marketer and creating content and leading successful product launches, but to also think about all the individuals that I will delegate to and work with, including content marketers, customer success, sales, and so forth. And so I have to think about my job like I'm a chief marketing officer in order to really truly be successful. So bring that vision and bring a point of view and a strong belief of what must be done. Right. One thing that I've always said in my interviews as well is that I believe a certain set of tasks within the marketing realm are important to be able to complete, and that if we're not doing that type of work, then we're wasting our time. And so you don't necessarily need to take a strong view like that, but a strong view of sorts that shows that you're not only thinking about your job as a job, but thinking about yourself as an operator is going to be important. And how you can practice that along the way is also by taking on side hustles, right? We all know that inflation has been ridiculous over the last couple of years, but it's also easier than ever to start a company, right? If you've been to any of our other webinars where we talk about how to build a side hustle with AI or how to use AI to build a faceless YouTube channel or so forth, you know that you can literally drop your LinkedIn profile into ChatGPT, ask it to analyze what it is that you're capable of doing, and then go from there and build a consulting side hustle or build something even more complex. And this also ties back into our previous trend, which is becoming a more strategic searcher, right? So knowing that even though you may have a commoditized skill today, being able to elevate that commoditized skill into a consulting standpoint, into a standpoint where you're an owner operator is going to help you significantly. And so with those 5 trends, it's also important to think about what to do once you've been hired, right? So we are in a very jittery job market, and so it's important to remember that a job is rarely forever, and so you must keep networking, acquiring skills, and building your brand. You have to increase your strategic value as you move towards career leadership, and you have to skate towards where the puck is going, not where it's at. And so if you're somebody who's been thinking about where you've been in your career and you've hoping that all the traditional mindsets work. Unfortunately, going to have to break that. And so these 5 trends that we've shared today are really going to help you through as you go through that. And so the webinars that Garrett and I will do for the remainder of the year, the workshops that we put together, and the technologies that he's put together through Callings.ai will help you understand how that all works together. And so, in summary, right, the struggles of 2025, I think, unfortunately, are going to continue into 2026 as we have way more job seekers than jobs available. I think we're going to see that layoffs bleed into tech from other areas as the AI mania keeps going, but also as maybe AI mania stops as companies realize that they need to stop and reflect on what they're spending on and make sure it's effective before they move forward. We're also going to see a few select industries that continue to grow, right? Think about what you want to run towards versus what you want to run away from. If your word was pivot for 2025, I think that's a word that you're going to continue using for 2026, right? Look for opportunities in places that you didn't think were there, right? Buy a business that perhaps somebody is selling because baby boomers are retiring. Go into local government. Maybe you haven't thought about that before. Think about startups that maybe you can ride the wave for. And don't just focus on landing a job. Expand outward, bring on that entrepreneurial mindset, and use your AI tools not just as something that you can use as a reference tool for Google or so forth, but become that true operator. Um, if you're looking for an AI certification, I actually don't recommend an AI certification here as much as I recommend, say, going into using AI practically, right? So dropping your LinkedIn inside of AI and then asking for it to figure out a path for you to start a business, to become an AI consultant, and so forth. Yeah, many local governments do have hiring freezes too. Your mileage may vary on that as well. So, yes. Cool. Okay. So, with that said, I want to go into taking action, right? Because, like, I think many of you may attend many of these webinars every single week, and it's me talking at you, but we also want to work with you to get you closer to your goals. And so one of the things that we want to talk about before we also get into our demo of Callings.ai is to talk about the many events that are upcoming, and you can get here by way of our QR code and also just by way of going to the Albert's List Eventbrite page if that's the way you came. Right. So the first thing that you can do is we are increasing the volume of our job search boot camps this year. So Albert's List is famous for our multi-week, 6-week job search boot camp where it's a group coaching program where we help you learn from leading career coaches and recruiters for the latest strategies and tactics to land you your next job. You can get accountability for your job search with your cohort, and what you're going to go ahead and get is everything from learning how to interview better to writing a resume, building your personal brand, and understanding how to read the room when it comes to your job search. All in a 2026 context with AI to support you. You can also pick up AI skills with our various webinars coming up that are coming up the 14th, the 20th, and also in February, where you can do everything from using ChatGPT to strategize your job search, to building an AI agent, to discovering how AI will affect your job search. And that's an in-person panel that we're doing to start out the year with here in the San Francisco Bay Area that also features Garrett. You can also DIY your job hunt with our Job Seeker Survival Kit. Our Job Seeker Survival Kit is 55 hours worth of content valued at $2,000 for just $17 here today. It's multiple videos that we've had from our previous webinars that you won't find on YouTube, where you can do everything from how to learn how to find a job, to what to do once you get hired, to how to use AI in your job search, as well as many multiple mock interviews so you can understand what we're talking about. So you can not only get your job search survival kit today, but you can also sign up for office hours for a total of less than $40 a year. And so with that, I want to thank you for your time today. I know that you have many options on Thursday evenings or maybe Friday morning, wherever you may be, to join us. And I want to go ahead and hand it over to Garrett to show you Callings.ai. Garrett, over to you.
Thank you, Albert. Really appreciate it. That's fantastic stuff, and I think just a great structure for what to do next in 2026. What I want to do is extend on what Albert talked about and talk about those actionable items that you can do right now to make certain you're taking action in your job hunt, because that's the most important thing, right? Concepts are important in a job hunt and how to hold it and how to think about it, but ultimately you have to take action for you to find success. And so with that, hopefully you guys can see my slides okay. What I want to talk about is the workflow of a job hunt, right? As you're starting in 2026, you need to build the habits and workflow processes that will lead you to opportunity. And so, by the way, for those of you who are interested, um, you can try our workflow tool. And so, Callings is a total job hunt platform. We built it as a way of accelerating as many of the steps of the job hunt as we can using AI and conventional tools. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. You can get 30 days of free access to that by going to callings.ai/Albert. And if you do that, you will be able to log in and we'll provision your account for 30 days. Um, the workflow process that we built is based on some facts that we've learned about the job hunt, which I want to share with you. I don't share these with you to make you unhappy or to depress you. I share them because this is just the reality of the experience that you're joining in a job hunt, and it's best to understand. The first thing is a job hunt traditionally lasts 5 months or longer. The more white collar, the older you are, that could extend up to a year or more, and the more senior you are as well. And so, just set your expectations on what the average job hunt looks like. It may be shorter for you, that's the way averages work, but at the same time, understand that it's a time process. Number two, most job seekers who are successful will spend 10 hours a week doing some type of job hunting. And that's all the different things you can do in a job hunt: networking, applying, polishing your own credentials, etc. The third thing is you should know is that the average job seeker who is successful now is sending their resume out to 50 opportunities or more. And so it's a volume business. And I'll explain a little bit more why that is the case. Um, what we're seeing out in the marketplace, and this is reported by these so-called applicant tracking vendors, is that the average job post today is getting 250 applicants. And so you're going to compete for every job that you apply for. And I'm going to go through some techniques you can use to dramatically better your chances from this lottery that it currently is. Um, the challenge that most job seekers face is the average job seeker today is using 16 different tools and services in their job hunt. And that's not sustainable. You can't manage a workflow with 16 tools or services. That's why Callings exists, is we felt we could cut that down dramatically. And then the final thing is you have to expect that there's going to be a lot of rejection in a job hunt and or ghosting. And so 75% of the applicants for any job of those 250 people I mentioned to apply for a job will simply never hear from the company that they apply to. And this is a sort of an artifact of the way new job systems are built. You apply for the job, they run it through technical systems to evaluate you as a candidate. And if you aren't in that top 25 percentile, they just don't ever respond. I think that's bad practice and rude. I personally think you should reply to anybody who is interested in working at your company and thank them. But I guess not every company thinks the way I do. So this is the reality of the job hunt, but it's a solvable problem. The steps you need to constantly repeat in a job hunt are these. You need to know yourself, your goals, how to articulate your personal brand. You need to find job opportunities and lots of them to pursue. You need to research them and understand them. You need to customize every time you put yourself into the hat, uh, put your ring hat in the ring, I guess, whatever that expression is, when you're applying. So you need to make certain that you're targeting that job and aligning your true and authentic skills against the job that you're applying to. Of course, you need to apply, which is a process unto itself. You need to network, and you need to target network for every job you apply to. And of course, you need to generally network and put out there into the world that you are looking for your next opportunity and that you offer tremendous values to the right company and or right organization. Um, and uh, and then finally, you need to do interview prep and prepare for anybody that you talk to, so that when you convey your values, they come across clearly. And so these 7 steps are the modern job hunt. And what we've done is we've built a platform that manages all 7 of these steps for you in one place. And so the goal of our platform is to really empower you to continually get out there and pursue a workflow that will get you a job. And we feel like we do things that are really great for job seekers. We provide personal insights to help you know yourself better. We find opportunities against a large job inventory, and that will be up to 10 million jobs very soon. We're going to identify networking targets for you to pursue when you apply for jobs. We've got an integrated CRM that will track your entire job hunt. We will use AI to help you level the playing field because AI is infused in everything on the hiring side now. There's just no way to escape it. And then we provide real coaching and community support, like for example, this event is a way of making certain that you understand that this is a human process. And so, my goal in demoing the product is really to help you understand the job hunt process. If you don't need it, that's fine. Hopefully, what I say will help you understand what the workflow is, whether you use us or something else. So I'll leave you with a few other thoughts, and then I'll show you some practical ways to use this. Think of the job hunt as a sales process. And in a sales process, you need a product. In the case of a job hunt, you are the product, but you're also the salesperson. And so you need to recognize that and put yourself in a position to think of yourself as somebody who's selling a product rather than making it a personal experience for you. The company or organization that you're applying with is the customer. And so that you need to present them with a irresistible value that they need to buy. Your sales tools are things like your resume, your LinkedIn profile, the cover letter that you send, the endorsements that people give you, any materials that you send out into the world are your sales tools. And then the interview, or anytime you talk to a real human being, that is your sales pitch. That is the chance for you to make your pitch to them in person. And nothing really happens until you have an interview. Everything before that is trying to qualify to be interviewed. The interview is the game time decision. And so keep that in mind. And I think it might help you as you're going about your job hunt to think this way, because again, it makes it less about a personal experience and more about an action and a series of tasks that you need to take to get a job. Think of it, your process as a sales funnel that you need to fill at the top with a lot of opportunities. And then you need to apply to the ones that make most sense to you, a lesser number. And then you need to network to the ones in that application set with the hope of making contact with people that will get you to the interview phase, which is a still smaller number. And then, hopefully you'll have multiple offers at the end. And so you have to keep pouring things in at the top at every level to get down to that next level. Don't try and snipe a job unless it's your uncle is the CEO, because you need to have enough opportunities to just accept for the fact that even if you're a final candidate in interviewing, anything can happen, and they might pick the other person. And it isn't because you're not qualified or even that they didn't like you. It's just they have to pick somebody, and the music stops, and if there's not a chair there. So think about this as a funnel. And the value of a funnel is the compounding effect of a funnel. And my favorite expression from Albert Einstein is that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And this is what we're getting at here. Say you have 5 months in your job. Hopefully, 20 weeks or in those 5 months. The thing would be enormous, right? And for those 300 applications, if you reach out in a targeted way, to 3 contacts for each of those opportunities, that would mean that you would have expanded your network to 900 potential connections. And the likelihood that some of those people will respond is almost 100% when you get to these numbers. And that's how this game of the funnel works. And the people I've seen who've been successful, both on our platform and outside of it, have been people that understand this and they just do the work, and they hustle, which is what Albert said earlier. So keep that in mind. You don't have to do these numbers, but it's just it's an example that you can think about to keep you on track to just taking the actions. That will also help you from getting, disappointed or just, inconsolate about it, which is, just do the tasks and then go get a cup of coffee, walk your dog. So with that, I'll show you some examples using callings of how you might go about a job hunt and how you might start this process right now in January. And so I'm going to switch over and show you the screen. And just so you understand what you're seeing, this is Callings.ai. It is a comprehensive total job hunt platform that we've built. It supports many of the steps of the job hunt that I described, if not all. And what you're seeing first and foremost is the job tracker. And think of it this way, most job seekers, when we started working on this company that we talked to, they built their own spreadsheet. And we wanted to take that off of your plate. So we built what we think is a better CRM for your job hunt. And it tracks all the jobs you're pursuing. You can get jobs from us that we find for you. You can add jobs using our extension, which is right here on the left-hand side that you can install. And that will actually let you add jobs from Indeed and LinkedIn. Or you can hit add jobs manually and put in a URL from a hiring company site. Any of those jobs will be full citizens on our platform. So anywhere you find opportunities, add them in here. And all of the tools that I'm about to show you will work with any of the jobs that you add that way. So that's the tracker, and I'm going to come back to that. We started this workflow process with the idea that you need to understand yourself. And so when you start using callings, we ask that you either upload your resume or a LinkedIn profile. And when you do that, we will confidentially, and we never share your information with anybody without your approval. We will take that information and we will bring it into our system, and we will start creating a number of important feedback cycles for you. We look for jobs matching your resume, which I'll show you in a bit. But first, what we do is we create My Insights. And My Insights are about you and understanding yourself. When you're in a job hunt, you need to create brand elements and marketing materials about yourself. You need to memorize pitches about how to sell yourself and talk about your accomplishments and your skills and your value. And this is not something that happens naturally. You have to train yourself on it. And so what we're doing with the My Insights is to help reveal this material for you so that you can more easily get to the point where you can talk comfortably about yourself. And so we do that by first reading your resume and generating reports like your goals report, your ideal job report, your persona, and your brand elements reports. But we then also generate this questionnaire to help improve those reports. And so for me, I'm a product manager by trade. And so inside of my questionnaire is a series of questions like, what aspects of product management do you find most fulfilling? Or how do you see the future of product management evolving? And if you answer with just a one-sentence answer, we will process all of that along with your resume to make an even better set of reports. And let me show you what these reports look like. First, there's the goals report. And so the first thing you need to identify is, what is your goal in getting a job? And what we help do is help you prioritize what's important to you. And we do that by listening to your resume and the answers you provide us. We don't invent this out of thin air. This is about you. And so for me, reading my resume, the 3 most important things are the role, the responsibilities that role has, and the culture of the company. And the least important to me, not that it isn't important, is compensation and career growth. Because my feeling is that if I have these, I can get those. And so this is a helpful way for me to clarify what's important to me, and it comes from my own answers. The second thing we identify is your ideal job report, and we create a snapshot of what an ideal job would look like based on your answers and your resume. And for me, it would be something like a vice president of product or strategic alliances. Um, I downplay in this resume my interest in entrepreneurship, but that would show up if I had put it there. So this helps me with what sort of the perfect company and the perfect responsibilities and qualifications would be. And I have this to bounce against the universe as I'm looking for a job. By the way, we take this report as one of the things we use when we go and look for jobs that match you. And you have the ability to go in and click and edit this if you'd like. You can add a new resume or more materials and regenerate it if you'd like, but it's very valuable. A new feature that Fleet put into the platform too is basically a narrative of what your first day at this job might look like. And it reflects back based on your background and stuff. And so you can also explore that. And that's all part of your ideal job. Persona, and I'll give credit to Jerry Jones, who's on the call for this feature. He said to me once, I am the problem doctor. I solve problems for manufacturing and ops. He's like, that's how I pitch myself first because it cuts to the chase and helps people understand my value. And I loved that. And we talked about it internally. And what we generated is this feature in the My Insights tab, which is reading all your answers and your resume. We try and come up with sort of a one sentence or one phrase description of what you're really good at or what your true value is. And this is how maybe you introduce yourself at a party or to make yourself memorable. And again, bounce yourself against these, rewrite them if you don't like how they're articulated. This has visionary product architect for me because I have that product background. Visionary seems, you know, that seems like a bit of a brag for me, but I like what it says here that I like to be a product architect. And so with that, when I'm talking to people, if they say, well, what kind of job are you looking for? What, how should I remember you for an opportunity? I will have this and I can say, well, I'm a product architect. That's what I want to do is build products. In Jerry's case, he's a problem doctor. So if you have problems in ops or manufacturing, talk to Jerry Jones. And then the final thing that we generate, I think, is an essential report for all of you, and that is the My Brand elements. And whether you use us or not, you have to develop this for yourself. That is, these are all the things about you that you need to use to promote you as a candidate. The first thing we do is we help generate a 20-second elevator pitch for you because people always ask this. You're at a party, I'm looking for a job. Well, tell me about yourself. What are you looking for? Boom, you need to have a pitch. You have to be able to provide that, and it has to roll off your tongue like you've said it a million times because you should practice it a million times. So, what we're trying to do is give you first drafts of that you can work with. We also provide a longer pitch, which calls out more of your background, which might be an answer in an interview where they ask you to really dig into what you've done, what your accomplishments are. A professional summary, which you might use on LinkedIn or on your resume at the top to basically nail who you are. We provide headlines, which are different ways to describe you that you might use in different situations like emails or wherever you're putting yourself out into the universe. We try and call out based on what you've taught us about yourself, what makes you unique, which is often a question that people ask, right? If you're in an interview process, they want to differentiate you against other candidates. This may be how. We also call out the top 10 skills that you have so that you're aware of those. You might call those out in your resume, et cetera, and the top 10 achievements that you've had. And so what we've heard our users say is this is a cheat sheet. And whether you use Callings or not, develop a cheat sheet for yourself, study it, practice it, because then you are the perfect salesperson. This is your brochure. And so that's my insights. And that's, the first step that I talked about is knowing yourself and being able to promote yourself. The second thing I mentioned is find opportunities. And so you can look at any of the job boards that are out there, LinkedIn, Indeed. We also find you jobs. We do it uniquely. We read your resume and all the information you provide us, and we generate a match score for you against all the jobs in our inventory and raise the ones that you're matched most closely to the top. That's what this AI match score is here, right here. And interestingly enough, I spent a lot of time at Apple, so it's finding me a job at Apple. That's probably not a coincidence. So I can add that to my tracker. And you have a chance to go into job details here and read about this job in advance of adding it to your tracker. Wow, apparently it's finding me a ton of Apple jobs. Here's one at Coherent that might be interesting for me. And so you can go in here, add them to your tracker. If you don't want to see them, don't show me again. And this is basically a way for you to shop for opportunities. Um, I'll also add that there's a way to steer this. You can go in and change your preferences in this field, for example, from location to get to hone this to hone the search. And so that is a way for us to find job matches for you that we're fairly certain you're qualified for. Once you've added those opportunities into your tracker, you move on to the next step, which is to really understand those opportunities and decide if you want to apply to them. And so I'm going to click on this Johnson & Johnson job here. And by the way, your tracker, you can search and sort and organize in a variety of different ways. We have a Kanban view, which allows you to drag and sort your jobs based on how they progress in your job hunt. So if you're interviewing for a job, you can put it in the interview column. If you're negotiating, put it in the negotiating column. And these are all customizable, so you can create your own categories. And so a variety of different ways for you to organize your job search and view it and plan with it. And so I'm going to dive into this Johnson & Johnson job, and so digital asset management and copy reviews, senior product manager, interesting job for me. The first thing that we present to you is the job description as posted by the company, which is this here. We on the left call out important elements of this job description, like benefits and the skills that you might need on the left. But it's important that you read the job description. Sometimes companies put in little tricks, like, hey, when you apply, don't forget to mention that the answer to 2 + 7. And they're doing that to ensure that you're a real human being and that you're actually you're being conscientious and really interested in the job. We added a feature recently called Profile Match, and if you turn this on, we'll show you what parts of the job description match with your resume and which in red don't, and which ones in yellow are kind of like a little of both, partial match. And that helps you to really call out, okay, these are going to be the areas that I need to protect and defend against. These are the areas that I really should accent when I'm in the interview process. We provide a detailed job fit report, so that 83% score includes the pros and cons of your candidacy and a breakdown of where you're strong and weak. So you can go through and see and compare yourself. And then finally, we provide a company report, including in many cases the Glassdoor ratings for the company, so you can get a sense of the company, its culture. We pull the latest news about the company as well. You should always study that when you go into an interview. Otherwise, they might ask you questions and you may not be aware of what's happening with the company. So that's the evaluate tab. The next step is to apply. And when you do that, you need to customize your resume. Again, whether you use us or anybody else, it's essential that you position yourself against the jobs that you're applying to. And you do that by tailoring your resume for that specific job. What we do is we take a first draft of that for you. We take your base resume, the one you uploaded to us, and we create a new rich text format, single column resume for you for this specific job. And we do that for a very specific reason. ATS systems don't handle complexity very well. So if you have tables or graphics or things like that in your resume or multi-columns, it could garble the data about you that is essential to your application. So with that, this is the resume that it's generated for me. I can click Edit with AI, and it will bring up this interface. And you'll see on the right-hand side a thumbnail of how long the resume is and how it lays out. And in the center, we will call out all the changes we've made to your resume to help it make it a better fit for this job in green. And basically, like Microsoft Word, we basically show you what we've changed. And you can just go through each section. This is a full word processor, so you could rewrite it yourself if you'd like. But you can just go through and accept each of the sections or keep the originals as you see fit. And you're slowly building your resume for this job. Actually, not slowly. We think it's actually very fast. And the result, and by the way, I always encourage that people keep the skills block that we make because that ensures that we're hitting most of the skills required for the job, assuming that you have that in your background. And boom, you have a custom resume. You can go in and make certain you double check it and read it, and then you can save it, and you have a custom resume for this job. You also have a chance to create, by the way, we do an analysis of this resume against the job for you. We do an ATS audit to make certain it'll get through the ATS system. And you have two options to download PDF or .doc. apparently there's a slightly better opportunity with .doc than PDF for applicant tracking systems. I just throw that out there for everybody. So if you have a choice of picking one or the other, go with .doc. Um, we also do a cover letter for you. What I've heard from many users and many job seekers is, oh, I spend all day looking at the cover letter. So we draft a cover letter for you. It's a word processor. You can rewrite it. You can click on edit with AI and you can go in here and say, I just found out the hiring manager is Italian. So please translate into Italian. And our AI will do that for you. And the result is that you come up with a cover letter fast and hopefully specialized and customized to your needs. And in many cases, the cover letter is not written until you qualify in that top 20, 25 percentile for an applicant tracking system, but you need it in there. And so our goal is to accelerate you on these processes. And our AI is a little slow tonight. Usually it'll translate into Italian faster than that, but you guys can see that here, gentile responsabile delle risorse umane. So I think that is hello, whoever's responsible in human resources. But the result is that, I got a custom cover letter. So I'm going to close that out. You have both of these documents now. You review them and you click on apply. We'll take you to the application site and you can apply for the job. And my comment there is congratulations, your resume is now in a stack of 250 other resumes. And so the hard work begins, but you have to apply. If there's that expression, if you don't, you can't win if you don't play. But the goal is to get this workflow going. The next step is the most essential one. 70% of all successful job hunts have networking involved because human beings hire, computers do not. And so we want to help you find people who are connected to the role that you're applying to, this senior product manager role at Johnson and Johnson. So when you click on the networking tab, we go out, look at the job post and find people on LinkedIn that aren't just at the company, but we believe are connected with this specific role or are associated with this role. They're either a hiring manager, a peer, somebody connected in an associated group. And the goal there is to get you close to the job so that you can reach and talk to people who will hand the resume to the hiring manager or are the hiring manager. And so we call those out. We put them in the order that we think are they're most likely to be a connection. We tell you everything about them. In this case, Nadia, we tell you their background, their interests, their work history, how they might be connected or in what you have in common with them. And then if you hit the reach out button, we will generate a custom outreach message that's customized for this person and this role. And you can do the same thing. You can prompt changes, you can type changes, but when you're done, the goal is to get you networking to as many people per job as possible, as fast as possible. We give you two options. We will either copy this into your clipboard so you can paste it into a LinkedIn in-mail message, or we will go out and try and find the email for this person, this email address, so you can send them a direct email. And if we find an email and you click on email, it will launch your email browser or your email client, and it will create an email outgoing message, and you can just hit send after you review it. And so what we say to our users, and this is true again, whether you use us or not, network for every job you apply to, try and connect to multiple people for every job that you apply to, and then play the numbers. Most people won't respond, but if you reach out to all six of these people, the odds are likely that one of them will, and that will get you in the door. You become a real human being. If you handle it right and are and are earnest about it, they will say, "Hey, you know what? My company pays me a bonus for helping people get hired by my company, so I actually going to recommend you to the hiring manager so I can get paid too." So remember that, by the way, you may be helping them. So don't be embarrassed to reach out to somebody. You might actually be making them money. So that's networking. And then the final couple tabs are once you've networked, rinse and repeat. And then hopefully for a percentage of the jobs that you apply to, you will get an interview opportunity. We provide a detailed interview prep report. We give you a pep talk. We call out the pitfalls of you against this specific job. We propose a strategy for your interview. We call out who you're likely to talk to in your interview journey. We'll give you the areas you should focus on based on the person. the expectations that you're likely to have from those people, and and so as you go forward, you've got this backgrounder to help train you and prepare you for the interview. So we'll also call out interview topics that often come up, interview questions that often come up, and provide suggestions on how to address these, and behavioral questions that might come up, and using the STAR system, ways to address those. Finally, we give you recommendations on questions you can ask them, and resources that you might use to continue your training for your interview. Be prepared. Many of our users have told us they print this whole thing out and keep it in front of them when they're interviewing on Zoom. I wouldn't recommend that you use this verbatim. I would recommend that you study it and train yourself so that you have a natural and fluid interview. And then for everything you do on our platform, you can write notes. If somebody calls you back, you can put the notes down, the details about them. You can attach files to each of these things if you sent them something or received something, so that your entire job search detail set is attached to the jobs that you're pursuing. And they're all right inside the tracker, always waiting for you. So if you get that call back, you can jump into the tracker, go to that job, and see everything that you've done, what resume you sent, what cover letter, what notes you have, what outreach you've done. It's all right there. Um, and so that's the workflow, whether you use us or not, that I propose. And then you do it over and over again. There's other things that I would recommend you do. You should be networking to all the people that you know. You should be telling them with a positive value-based message that you're looking for a job. And I would position it as something like, I'm looking for my next opportunity. And here is what I'm looking for. Here's the value that I bring for it. And see if you can ask them specifically what action you want to take. Because people generally want to help you, but they don't want to have to think about what they need to do to help you. They'd rather you tell them that. So I would encourage that as well. We also, by the way, provide a full resume assessment tool in here. So when you upload your resume, we can give you feedback on your resume. We can help you improve it if you'd like your base resume. So we give you like things like a 6-second verdict and strengths and red flags. You're constantly in the job hunt going to be improving your sales materials, your LinkedIn profile, your resume. Any of those in itself will not get you a job, but they're part of the process, and you should work on them. And so we provide tools for that as well. Finally, as we are doing tonight, we have a lot of coaching resources. We host a lot of webinars. We have a weekly networking and community group that we have where you can meet other job seekers in a one-on-one, well, a one-to-many environment where you can talk to everybody, be heard. Um, and that happens every Monday for our users. So you can join that, network with them. Remember that other job seekers are an amazing networking opportunity for you. Why? They're very likely to help you. And if you think about it, every single job seeker you meet is likely to have about five different companies on their resume. And so you don't need to meet many job seekers to start indexing across entire industries. So reach out and talk to other job seekers and make those connections, because they will help you get a job.
Garrett,
Um,
there,
yeah.
there- there's a lot of people in the Q&A who want to try out Callings. So can you tell them how they can set up their account, get a free account to try it out?
Yes. I'm 3 minutes late, so thank you all for your patience. I'm going to jump back to this slide deck, and I'll show you exactly how you do it. You just go to this URL, callings.ai/Albert. As long as you use that URL and then register an account, a new account, we will provision you for 30 free days on the platform. If, on the other hand, you've already registered, email me at garrett@callings.ai, and I will provision your account for you. So happy to do that and get you set up. But go to that URL and register, and then you're on the platform and upload your resume. If you take those steps, then all the tools will activate. We'll start finding jobs for you. We'll mail you jobs every day if you're interested, and then you qualify for all the features that I've showed you and more. And then the final thing I'll say is we're always adding more. We work very hard to continually improve this platform. And we're very open to feedback. On every page of the site, there's a give feedback button. So if you're using it and you have a problem or a question, fire it off to us. And that's how we make the platform better. So, with that, we can go through if there are questions, Laura, that people have. For those of you that need to depart right at 6 o'clock. I just want to thank you for joining us. Get started in January. It's the start of 2026. It's a brave new year for you. And so hopefully what Albert and I talked about will help you with your job hunt.